Welcome to the Old Man of the Three with JJ Reddick and Tommy Alter, brought to you by 342 Productions. This is episode 142. Bennedict Mathurin and Tyrese Halliburton. It's Pacers week here on the Old Man and the Three. Tommy, I feel bad because on a recent episode, I said the Pacers are a playoff team. I believe that was my direct quote.
You did say it.
Subsequently, Tyrese gets hurt, and now they've lost 4 in a row. He got hurt against the Knicks, and they've lost the 3 games since then. But they're 23-22, just 2 back in the loss column of the New York Knicks for 6th place. This team may be headed for the play-in tournament, but I like their squad a lot. I like Miles Turner. Buddy Hield's having a great season. Of course, we love TJ McConnell. And Mathurin, a rookie, has been great for them off the bench.
Yep. And the good news, and we'll get an update from Tyrese on his health in the segment later today. You know, this is not a debilitating injury. He'll be back in a few weeks. And so I think your point when you made it made sense. We'll see, how things end up, but you can't help injuries, and you especially can't help injuries when it's an all-star point guard.
Exactly. We should also shout out TJ McConnell, who on Monday against the Milwaukee Bucks had about as good of a first half as you can have in an NBA game. He had 25 points. He was 9 for 9 from the field, 4 for 4 from 3. He doesn't even shoot threes. 6 assists, 2 steals, no turnovers. Set his career high in the first half of that game. Absolutely outstanding for TJ.
Also, by the way, the game we went to against the Knicks that they lost, TJ was also great. And
yes.
It was a major reason why they came back in that game. They couldn't pull it off. It was funny. I was thinking, we were talking about it afterwards. It was the Jalen versus TJ matchup was like your two little brothers in a fight.
It was funny because last week going to the Knicks-Bucks game, and then I went to the Pacers-Knicks game. Joe Ingles on the Bucks, TJ McConnell on the Pacers. The sideshow to the game was the two of them just talking shit to the crowd the whole game.
Just talking.
I love instigators. I don't know what it is. I love instigators.
And MSG, there's nowhere better.
Before we get to Bennedict Mathurin and Tyrese Halliburton, I do want to talk a little bit about LeBron and the Lakers. We have not spent a ton of time on the Lakers this season, but I think as LeBron approaches the all-time scoring record, we should acknowledge the season he's having. So he's 315 points away from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the all-time leading scoring record on his current pace. He's going to do that in the next 10 or 11 games. Right now, he's averaging 29.7 points, 8.4 rebounds, 7 assists, playing 36 minutes a night, and shooting 51% from the field. I'm not sure where the Lakers really stand. They're probably 1 or 2 players away, and Anthony Davis being completely healthy and playing the way he was prior to his injury, for them to be in the conversation as a Western Conference contender. But they have played very well as of late.
Since LeBron's 38th birthday, he's played 269 minutes, scored 259 points in 7 games, 37 points per game, almost a point per minute on the court. This is LeBron James we're talking about, so you're never surprised. But at what point do you just look at this as a fan and as someone who has to comment on the goings on the league, and you're almost left speechless at a certain point?
Yes, speechless. There's no history, there's no precedent of what he's doing right now at his age. Just to provide some additional color on what you brought up about this 7-game span, he's the first player in Lakers history with 250 points, 60 rebounds, 60 assists over a 7-game span. He's the oldest player with 250 points over a 7-game span, and he's the only player to do it after age 35. In fact, he's already done it once. He did it last season. No players averaged 20 points per game in their 20th season or later. He's got 3 40-point games in his 20th season or later. That has been done once in NBA history, and that was Kobe Bryant's last game. Like, what he's doing right now is absolutely insane.
It's crazy. There's another stat I saw just about clutch scoring. He scored 64 points in clutch situations this year, 44% from the field, which is 9th best in the league. The Lakers, as a team, are actually terrible. They're 9th worst in the league. And so it is a little bit of and I think we should focus on him more than the team. I do have one question about the team, but there is a little bit of this guy is literally doing every single thing that he can do to will them into the playoffs.
Oh, I forgot one. For all the MJ, LeBron GOAT talk. So, not going on seasons and going by age, he's the second player in NBA history with multiple 45-point games at age 38. MJ is the only other person to do that, which is incredible.
Insane. I have one before we get to some more Bron stuff. I have one Lakers question for you.
Yep.
The team is currently 30th three-pointers made in the league. AD does seem like he's coming back pretty soon in the next couple of weeks. Their record, since 19 is pretty stark when he plays versus when he doesn't play. Is this a team that and we talked about this a little bit a couple weeks ago when we were going through the trade, sort of trade destinations. Are they a shooter away from actually being able to make a real run? Because if LeBron is playing at this level, we know how AD was playing before he got hurt. It doesn't actually seem like as sort of shaky as the rest of the group has been. It doesn't seem like they need to go make a swing for some big star. It's almost like they need somebody who can just shoot 40% from three and hit them when, which by the way, look at every good team LeBron has been on. He's had a guy like that. It's crazy that they don't have it.
Which is why I said last week on the Old Man of the Three Things, our exclusive show to Amazon Music, that Bogdanovich makes a lot of sense. He's having a great season this year in Detroit. He's got a very favorable contract based on his production. He's a guy that I think fits right in with that team. I don't know, though. I'll be honest. I don't know that they're a shooter away from being a contender. I think they're shooting away, if that makes sense. They need multiple guys that can spread it out a little bit.
Yeah.
And just to contextualize where they're at right now, 20 and 24, they're in 13th place, so they're not even in the play-in game. They're just 3 games back in the loss column of Dallas. And you look at the teams ahead of them. Phoenix at 12. They've been a mess lately since Devin Booker's been out. Portland has been very inconsistent. They're at 11. OKC, upstart team. They're at 10. They're in the play-in tournament right now. Minnesota has struggled at times. Utah, maybe they do become a seller. Maybe somebody gives them an offer for Malik Beasley or Jordan Clarkson and hope to sort of swing their bench and fortify their shooting. So there's a lot that can happen between now and the end of the regular season. So on DraftKings right now, I looked this up. When the season opened, to participate in the play-in game, the Lakers were at plus 110. They dropped actually a month later. They were at minus 105. So people thought they were in. They're currently at plus 130 to make the play-in tournament. I think that's a pretty favorable bet.
Yeah. I think it's based off of the publicly available knowledge about AD's injury.
Yep.
It feels like a pretty favorable bet.
Here's a sneaky one for you. I got this. This is a sneaky one. Let's paint a picture.
I know where this is going.
Of a lot of what ifs. And I don't do this a lot, but let's paint a picture of a lot of what ifs. What if they do make a couple trades? What if they do end up in the top 5 in the Western Conference? All of a sudden, we've got to add another name to the MVP conversation, which is very deep right now. There's a lot of people in that conversation.
There's a lot of people in that conversation.
When the season started, Bron was at plus 2,200 for MVP. He's right now at plus 14,000. If you think in a perfect world, some stars align, Lakers end up with a top 5 seed in the Western Conference. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility.
I don't think so
with
either.
This current roster, no. But
he deserves it just for to be in the conference, just for keeping them afloat for the last 3 weeks because he's playing 1-on-5 basically.
By the way, we mentioned him chasing Kareem's record. DraftKings also has some awesome sort of prop bets related to LeBron chasing the points record. So go check that out on DraftKings Sportsbook. When I throw down on the NBA action, it's got to be with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Take a shot at an even bigger payout with DraftKings Friday Night Favorites. All you have to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app using code JJ, opt in, and place a 2-leg pregame moneyline parlay, and you'll get a 50% profit boost. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code JJ. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. 2 real quick things. As a reminder, we have a newsletter, A Fair World of Takes. Very easy to sign up. You can go to our social pages on Instagram or Twitter, hit subscribe. You can also go to 342.com and hit subscribe. That comes out every Monday, a wealth of information from Tommy and I. It's our look around the NBA. Tommy always has a food recommendation. I always have a wine recommendation. Secondly, mentioned it already. The Old Man and the Three Things. It's our weekly show every Monday during the NBA season. We talk about 3 pertinent topics, very topical, and that is available exclusively on Amazon Music. All right, let's get to our conversation with Bennedict Mathurin. All right, let's welcome in Ben Mathurin. Ben, we really appreciate the time. Thank you for joining us. We have talked about the Pacers a bunch this season, mainly because of Tyrese and TJ McConnell, because they're our guys, but we have really enjoyed watching you in your rookie year. So thank you for this, man.
Thank you for having me.
I want to get into the circuitous route that you took to the NBA, but I'm really fascinated by something I read earlier today, and in that you played ice hockey, because I don't think there's many NBA players growing up that played ice hockey. Football, maybe. Baseball, maybe. Soccer, maybe. Not a lot of ice hockey guys. What was your hockey game like?
Growing up in Montreal, hockey is the main sport. So I pretty much just growing up skating, and that's when I really decided to start playing hockey. I was pretty good, actually. I was pretty good. They used to call me PK Subban because I was a defender and I was lefty and stuff, but I was actually pretty good.
Was there any part of you that was ever like, this is going to be my thing?
I actually did for a little bit of time because I remember, like I said, I was really good and I was already tall, and everybody was shorter than me, and I was already like a little bit strong, so I was like, this is easy. But I took a year off, and then I went back, and I was like, nah, like I really I don't miss it. I don't miss it enough for me to try and go pro, and play hockey.
Do you think there's anything with regards to the physiology of skating at a high level and having some of that muscle memory or muscle strength carry over to the basketball court? Because you look at hockey players and they have tree trunks for legs because of the amount of pressure and force required to really skate at a high level.
For sure, I think that's what really allowed me to, just when I get to the paint and stuff, just playing on my shoulder. I remember I used to push a lot of people, and I really like translated, for me to when I used to play when I started playing basketball too. So I felt like it really helped me, just being more physical, but also just a change of direction is what really helped me too.
What was the Montreal basketball scene like?
Me and Lou were from the same neighborhood. We played for the same club team, and there was that one club team that everybody wanted to go but could not go because you had to be tough or you had to be extra like competitive. Me, I'm really I love to compete, and I'm really a competitive guy. So I went to the club, and then that's where I met Lou. I remember like we used to play against each other most of the time, and it's really competitive out there, and but it's also it was also a fun process.
What do you think it is about the influx of Canadian basketball players in the NBA? Going back to 80s, 90s, I immediately think of Steve Nash as probably influencing a generation of Canadian basketball players. But what do you think it is that has led to so many players? I mean, we could go down the list. Of course, Shea's from Canada, Jamal Murray, but there seems to be an influx right now in the NBA.
Like I said before, hockey is the main sport in Canada. Um, but having players like, Steve Nash or uh, Lou was a mentor for me, growing up. But Chris Boucher and some other players from Toronto, just seeing them. Toronto was the only team I could watch on TV, because I didn't have like ESPN or other stuff, So Toronto was the only team I could watch, play a game, and that's really when I wanted to do something different. My sister, my brother played basketball. All my friends used to play basketball, so like that feeling into me, like telling me that I wanted to play basketball and I wanted to go really hard, go really hard with it. That's really where it came from.
When we had Luka Doncic on the show, we talked to him about the decision to leave Slovenia as a teenager and go to Spain where he didn't know the language and play for Real Madrid. And while you didn't go, play in Europe for a club team at a young age, you were essentially recruited to go play at an NBA academy in Mexico City as a 16-year-old. What was that recruitment process like? How did they discover? I didn't even know, by the way. I knew there was like academies. In doing the research for the show, doing the research on these academies, there's like 5 or 6 of them all over the world: Australia, China, India, Mexico City, Senegal. So for you personally, your experience there, how did you end up there?
It started with me playing from my national team. I played for Team Quebec as well. I remember we had a tournament. It was in BC, British Columbia, and then I had a pretty good tournament. I just turned 16, and then I remember the GM from Team Quebec. He told me, if the train comes, if the train comes, just take it. And literally like 2 weeks later, one of my uncle literally just called me and was like, you have your opportunity to go. He told me Spain first, to play a club team over there, or to go to Mexico City. And when I heard the NBA Academy, I was like, okay, that's cool. But when I heard Mexico City, I was like, ain't no way I'm going there. I was like, I'm not going to Mexico City. But then when I learned about, NBA Academy is the first step in the NBA, that's what I wanted to do in my life. They told me school, food, and basketball was free. Like all I needed to do was just to be locked in and just to be focused on the things I wanted to be. So I went out there. I remember I was like, I'm gonna go out there for a month. If I don't like it, I'm coming back. But as soon as I took my luggage and stuff, it was a one-way ticket. I made that decision, a commitment to really just go to school over there. I was able to learn Spanish a little bit, but also it really opened my eyes, with basketball but also with different cultures.
What was, in some ways, reading an article from 2020 actually on you in The Athletic. In some ways, it sounds like a college experience as a 16-year-old. It's not a normal high school experience that I had, or Tommy didn't play high level basketball, but that he had in high school. What was sort of the daily schedule or the daily grind that you guys had as high school players at this academy?
It was actually a different kind of grind, to be honest. School was like literally 30 seconds from my dorm. I just had to walk. The gym was 45 seconds the other way. So pretty much, I woke up every morning, like 6:30. Then I was shooting at 7 from 7 to 7:45. Then I had class. I go to class and then I go breakfast because it's like 9:30 when I'm done with class. And then we got practice around like 10:30. Practice 10:30 to 12. And then we got weights. And then I think from 3 to 6 we got school again. And then practice from 6:30 to 8:39. Come back, eat, and basically the whole same routine every single day.
That seems like a lot for a 16-year-old. I'm going to be honest with you. Did you, at the time, appreciate that grind?
To be honest, when I first got there, I was like, I'm not waking up at 6:30. Like I'm not doing that. But that really like made me the player I am today. While I'm so competitive, like I really challenged myself to wake up at 6:30 every day. From like I remember going to school like starting at 8, and then I practiced. So like my whole routine, my whole schedule was different. But I really like helped me as a player, but also as a person. I became more disciplined. Like time management became a really big part of me. So it was at first it wasn't the best thing for me, but it really became the best thing that happened to me.
We've had a few tennis players on the show, and it sounds almost more like the experience that they go through before they go professionally. Do you feel like other younger players should look at this route? College and everything is changing with the NIL and everything like that. Do you feel like you would be in the place you are now if you hadn't done this?
Oh, that's a great question. To be honest, I think I always believe in myself. I always thought I could make the NBA. I just probably if I didn't take that route, I probably would have taken a little bit more time. And I encourage a lot of kids. It depends where you're from. Like me growing up in Canada, like it wasn't really easy for me, and I know it's a lot of kids. It's a lot of kids as well, or who it's not easy for them. It's not easy to wake up and just have breakfast. So for me, it was an opportunity I had just to go somewhere where everything was taken care of. I just had to present myself with a great attitude and just as a great person and just be ready to learn and to have fun.
When I was just turned 15, I was finishing. I just finished ninth grade, and I went and played that summer for the 17 and under Boo Williams team. So that was rising seniors, and was gone essentially the month of July. We did a tournament in Augusta, Georgia, the Peach Jam tournament. We did a couple tournaments in Orlando. We did a tournament in Portland. And I look back on that, especially that first summer. Really, it was the first time I was on my own. And I feel like I matured, but I feel like what you did is that on steroids to a degree. Do you think that maturity aspect, not just the training part, has helped you make the transition in the NBA?
When I first left Canada, I lost my brother a couple years ago, and then it was hard for me, my family, especially my mom. She was at home, by herself, and I was like, should I go? Should I not go? And then she told me, if you go, just make sure that you do the right things, you stay out of trouble, and you have fun with it. So when I left, I was like, I'm by myself. I don't know nobody. I'm by myself in Mexico City. I don't speak Spanish. My English was rough too. I couldn't speak good English. So when I first got there, I was like, it's time for me to grow up. Just become a young man as soon as I can. Also, like this is a lifetime opportunity. Like there's a lot of kids who wish they had this opportunity in front of them. So really, just took care of the opportunity, and it really became a blessing. I was living by myself. I learned Spanish. My English got better. But I also influenced a lot of kids, back home to really like if they want to do something that everything's possible. To help them to help the kids and keep them believing.
How'd you end up at Arizona?
Um, Coach, I was I think we had a game in the US, and then Coach Murphy, the assistant coach, recruited me, came to one of my games, and he told me like my game. Pretty much my top two was Baylor and Arizona.
You were there with Sean, right? Was
Yeah,
Sean there?
My first year.
Yeah. I like Sean a lot. I know that Arizona got caught up. I'm not calling your program out. I know that Arizona got caught up in the whole FBI wiretapping scandal. But Sean was actually an assistant coach when I was in high school. I'm dating myself here, but when he was an assistant coach with Herb Sendek at NC State. And I really had zero desire to ever go to NC State or play for Herb Sendek because they ran like a Princeton offense, and that really wasn't interesting to me. But I loved Sean. And so for months, I was like, I kind of got to consider NC State because Sean is the man.
I mean, it was great. My first year I had Sean Miller. My second year I had Tommy Lloyd. So it was good to having both of them, just pretty much me being in the middle, just taking tips, from both of them. But also, Sean Miller was a tough guy, man. He's a tough guy. I remember my first practice, he told me I was killing, out of high school. It's like, I'm the man. I come to college, and then they have a recruit, same position as me, the same year as me, Dalen Terry. So we actually come to practice, and he said, man, you're not gonna play. He said, you're not gonna touch the floor. So I don't know if he was being serious or he just wanted me to go harder. Since that moment, I was like, all right, like it's time for me to, to show what I can do. So from that point, I was like, you know what, I'm a grind. And then I just started playing well my freshman year. And then, when I went on my sophomore year and had a great year.
I don't know Sean's motivation to that, but I will say that probably knocked away any sense of entitlement that you had from day one. Like he was establishing a baseline. And two, I mean, college coaches in general communicate in a very different way than NBA coaches. I think that's just part of the college basketball culture versus the NBA culture, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Take your shot at turning buckets into big cash with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. They're my go-to for hoops action. They have easy, fast, reliable payouts. I always enjoy building out same-game parlays. And another fun thing is their player prop options. They have a surplus of those.
Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly, win or lose. Looking for an even bigger payout? Take a shot at our Friday night favorites. All you have to do is go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, opt in, place a select two-leg pregame moneyline parlay, and you'll get a 50% profit boost.
A lot of great games coming up this Friday. In fact, we've got the Memphis Grizzlies at the LA Lakers and the Miami Heat at the Dallas Mavericks. 2 games to watch there. Download the app now and sign up with code JJ. New customers bet $5 on the NBA and get $200 in free bets instantly. That's code JJ only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Looking for an easy way to eat well and save money this year? Cut back on expensive takeout and delivery and get started with HelloFresh. You'll love how fast, easy, and affordable it is to whip up a restaurant-quality meal right in your own kitchen.
With HelloFresh, eating well in the new year can be stress-free and delicious. With over 35 weekly recipes, they have the options you're looking for to help you achieve your goals. Choose Calorie Smart and Carb Smart recipes, or even customize select meals by swapping proteins or sides, upgrading your proteins, or adding protein to a veggie dish.
Sometimes, Tommy, I just like to go with a straight veggie dish. Recently, I had the zucchini and tomato flatbread with lemon, ricotta, fresh parsley, honey, and chili flakes. Straight fire.
Wow.
Go to HelloFresh.com/JJ21 and use code JJ21 for 21 free meals plus free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/JJ21 and use code JJ21 for 21 free meals plus free shipping. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Speaking of college or NBA coaches, I played for Rick Carlisle very briefly, I think 8 games. I was there about 2.5 months, but I spent a ton of time with him. Great dude. How has the experience been with Rick this year and the Pacers?
Oh, it's been great. It's been amazing, to be honest. I haven't had this relationship with a coach, I wouldn't say in a long time, but me as a coming to the league, I'm a rookie. And, I've heard a lot of people saying, oh, it's not playing like rookies and stuff, and I just really let that noise out, because I went to him, I asked him a lot of questions, and he's been amazing to me, the whole coaching staff, they helped me become a better player. And I think the relationship we have is just growing day by day, I was mad a couple of times when he kept me out the game, but he took the time on the plane to tell me, if he told me literally, I want you to be the best version of yourself, and that's by being a two-way player, because sometimes I have tendencies of not relaxing the defense sometimes, but he pulled me out of the game and be like, I want you to be the best version of yourself by being a two-way player and just giving out your maximum, when you're on the court.
Does when he first came to you this season in terms of your role, because I think most coaches communicate that,
Yeah.
In terms of coming off the bench, was that sort of communicated? Did he sort of give you a clear picture of how you were going to play, how he wanted you to play? I remember my 7th year, my first year without Stan in Orlando, which was with Jacques Vaughn. I was hoping to start. We had made some trades. I felt like I was in a good position in my career to finally be a full-time starter for the first time. But he came to me and he said, I want you to be our Manu Ginobili. I want you to, when you're in the game, we're going to run plays for you. I want you to be aggressive. And to that point, that was my career year, playing that year. And I think that communication early on with Jacques was incredibly helpful for my confidence, of course, but also just clarity in terms of freedom and playing the game.
He told me word for word, you're going to have to work, you're going to have to show me that, you're really able to to have an impact right away when I come in the game, and I feel like, my defense is still improving. I feel like it's one part of my game. If I really involved, then I'm gonna be able to be a great two-way player. And he just told me, when you come in the game, just play with force, but also just be yourself, like don't think, because now you're in the NBA, you have to make those kind of plays. You have to take those kind of shots. He just said, just gotta hoop. You do you have to do what got you here, and just pretty much keep the game simple.
Where are you right now with your comfort level um, with the NBA 3-point line? This is me. But when I watch you guys play, sometimes I'm like, fuck, Ben, shoot the ball. You really like to drive closeouts. It's not a knock. I think it's great. And you've had some games where you've shot the shit out of the ball. You're at 33% on 4.5 attempts right now. Your comfort level making that transition into a deeper 3-point line, where is that for you right now?
Pretty much just letting it fly. To be honest, I had a little shooting slow when I went down a little bit, and I was like, shots not falling. I'm gonna try and do something else. I'm trying to drive, get to the rim, and get fouls. And I've had some games like you said where I just let it fly. I remember the Denver game or the Brooklyn game. I was just shooting and it was going in. Well, I got the same confidence, man. Like if I get a shot, I'm gonna shoot it. If I feel like I can get all the way to the rim, get the foul, I'm gonna try and do it. But I'm pretty much adjusted to the line right now. Just about a matter of opportunity of me shooting the ball.
What do you think your biggest transition has been just as being a professional versus these last two experiences?
My biggest transition would say, obviously there's more space, in the NBA compared to college, but also, in college I was one of the strongest guy, and coming to the league, now I got to guard some bigger guys, I got to guard some taller guys, I got to get through Steven Adams' screens. It's like it's different, so it's pretty much knowing who you're guarding is one of the biggest thing I had to adjust, and but also just being louder. There's a lot of people coming to the games, a lot of fans, screaming and stuff. So I feel like one part I think that really helped me is just being more vocal.
On that note, on the physicality, has the proliferation of verticality from bigs, has that surprised you at all? Because I don't feel like at any other level bigs are really good at that, and bigs protecting the rim in the NBA are so good at the verticality aspect. So when you are getting by your defender on those closeouts, has that surprised you?
To be honest, it surprised me. It started on training camp. I remember, we used to play, but Miles wasn't here, yet. So I was like, get to the rim. I used to dunk. I used to make all Kyrie finishes and stuff. So Miles they told me Miles is best in the game. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like,
wait, hold on. Miles said, quote,
no.
Miles is best in the game, or somebody said that?
Teammates,
Okay.
Okay. Miles best in the game. I'm like, I don't care about that. So I just went to the rim. Remember one time I tried to dunk on him and I was like, nah, he said, it's not gonna happen, Rook. It's just not gonna happen. And basically when I get to the rim too, and just playing. I remember playing Minnesota. Having Rudy Gobert in the paint. I got to change my shot a little bit because he's really tall. Or, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Tyrese Halliburton, friend of the show, having a career year. What's he actually like as a teammate? Because I feel like he comes across as a good guy. I don't know. Is he a good guy?
No, he really is. He actually surprised me. I don't want to say it that way because sometimes when there's a way of showing yourself to the media and stuff. But he's actually been like that in the locker room as well. You never gonna have a problem with him. And sometimes I'm in a game and I feel like I'm not touching the rock. I'm like, yo, Ty, you just give me a look. I'm like, all right, he said, I got you. Goes to coach and be like, yo, let's run this play. So I feel like he's actually a great teammate. But he's also a great leader. Just having him as a point guard, I don't know if he's still leading the league in assists or probably assists per game. It's great having him around, and he's obviously a great player.
What do you think is his most special attribute as a player?
Probably just being himself. He comes to work every day. It's 100%. If he's feeling rough one day, he's not gonna show it. He's not gonna show it to you. And like I said, he's a leader pretty much. So whether the day is going good or bad for him, he's always showing up to work the same day, and he's trying to improve everybody.
Do you feel like you guys have snuck up on people a little bit? We've talked about this with him a little bit, but you were not a team that people were really predicting to be in the playoff conversation. Obviously, the last week or so struggled a little bit, but in general, it's been an overachieving year compared to what people probably predicted going in. Do you feel like that you were expecting that, or that's something that has even surprised you a little bit?
No, for me, I was always expect because I got drafted to the team. I used to watch play. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I was like, no, the team is amazing. It's just then when Tyrese came to the team, I was like, he's a great point guard, and then Buddy came to the team. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, it's all about pieces and stuff. So all my friends used to say, "Oh, you guys gonna be like 13. You guys gonna be like the last team in the league." So I was like, "You guys actually like, who's on the team, and like, what we are able to do." So when we came to training camp, I was like, "We actually have a chance to be a good team and make the playoffs." So just pretty much, just got to stay locked in, stay, just do what we do, and we have a real chance of making the playoffs.
You've referenced this 3 or 4 times now in this conversation, and you certainly come across as a very confident player. So I have to bring this up. But right around the draft, it was actually the article came out the day after the draft in the Washington Post, and you said about LeBron, you said a lot of people say he's great. I want to see how great he is. I don't think anybody is better than me. He's going to have to show me he's better than me. I got to tell you, man, to deal with that the day after the draft and already be getting backlash in the league. It won't be the first time you get backlash. But where does that confidence come from? Where does that belief in self come from?
It's pretty much growing up, I remember I used to play with my older brother and all his friends, and I remember, I was really young. And he was like, they were like 3 years older than me. And I used to play with them, and I used to actually be in the game, So when I used to play against people my age, I was like, like it's a wrap. I'm freaking everybody, like I'm better than everybody. But then, like it just really translated to me growing up as a player. So I was like, just me being overly competitive sometimes, people might not understand what I'm trying to say. And I mean, that's what, happened the day after the draft. Opened up my phone, I got 100 notifications, missed calls and stuff. I'm like, I'm like, I just got drafted, what's the matter? But I mean, like I said before, I said in many interviews, it was no intent of like disrespecting, everybody know LeBron and his greatness and stuff. But me, myself, coming to the league, I'm a rookie. I'm not gonna say, oh, he's better than me. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that's what people should say. This is a different way of saying it, but I think myself coming to the league, I'm like, people gonna have to show me. Like, I'm not gonna say he's better than me. So that's really
No,
working.
listen, man, I love it. You don't need to justify yourself to me. I love it. I love it. You actually, you have clarified a few times, and you said I think he's the best to ever play. People probably misunderstood what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
When you guys played against him, Nembhard hit the game winner. Tyrese threw a insane left-handed pass, and did he show you that night that he was better than you?
He's trying to put me in trouble. No, I'm not. I'm gonna be honest. When started the game, he had like 10 points in a row, and I was like,
what did I do? What did I do?
Yo, yeah. But after that, I was like, I'm just going the game. I missed my first 3 shots, and then I had a charge. So I was like, yo, man, you got to wake up, man. Everybody's watching the game right now. So, but it was great. It was a great game.
JJ, this is a question for you too, for both of you guys about the confidence in general, because everyone who plays in the NBA is confident. Every professional athlete is confident, but how do you have the mental focus to not have the confidence get shaken? And obviously, Ben, this is still your first year, But I think the results speak for themselves in terms of how you've done this. And JJ, this is a thing you've had in your career, your whole career, but then also just, I feel like shooters in general, in particular, you just have to shake off if you have an 0 for 9 night or something like that. You just got to kind of move on to the next one. Mentally, what's your sort of advice in terms of blocking out, any sort of self-doubt that you have or anything like that?
Well, I'll speak on this first. For me, the work is what gave me confidence. I always tell people shooting is three things. It's decent form, it's a repeatable form, and then it's repeating it over and over and doing the repetitions and doing the work and the practice. And from that, I have confidence. That's not to say my confidence never wanes. This is the great part about the NBA, and I don't know, Ben, if you've experienced it this year, but in high school or college, you might have a game or two a week. And so if you have an off game, there's a lot of time to think about that off game, to dwell on that off game, to not get in your own head, but like my internal sort of mood as a player was always dictated on my previous game. So waiting 4 days, 5 days to get another shot to flip that switch on my mood, that was frustrating. The NBA, you're playing basically every other night. So I think for an NBA player specifically, it's having that short-term memory and just moving on to the next thing and continuing the work. Like the routine for me was always sacred. So it was always about the work, and then the confidence came from that.
I mean, no, basically for you, you're right. Like sometimes I think we had a Golden State game and then I went 0 for 6. I was like, yo, this is crazy, But the next day we had a game. So I feel like, it's also a blessing just to really just shake it off. And, the short memory is actually a real thing, You might be like Buddy is the best at doing this. Buddy is gonna end up being one of the greatest shooters of all time, but and Buddy's 0 for 8. He said the next 10 are going in, and they actually are going in. So I feel like it's a great thing to have a short term memory.
He did that in that Knicks game last week, the one where Tyrese got hurt. It was the first half he couldn't hit anything, and then all of a sudden it's just like unconscious.
Tommy, I think there's different forms of confidence. There's quiet confidence, there's loud confidence. Then there's also irrational confidence. And I think irrational confidence lives very well in the NBA. I think it really does. I think there has to be some level of irrational confidence to succeed, to last. I think about like TJ McConnell, your teammate. Great dude, like a brother to me. He probably doesn't come across in a normal conversation, but he has irrational confidence. The other night against Milwaukee, he had an all-timer, 25 points, his career high in the first half, didn't miss a shot. Like that to me, and by the way, he's at times with Nembhard in the lineup, he's had times where he's played 9 minutes, he's had times where he's played 35 minutes. That to me is like being a professional, just being able to sort of fit in and do your job no matter what the role is. That's irrational confidence. And he brings it every night. I had a question for you, Ben, just based on that sort of follow-up that you gave about your LeBron quote when you said, I think he's the best to ever play. Because I grew up, in my teenage years, I was watching Michael Jordan. And then LeBron became a peer. And I played against Kobe. And we've seen Steph now lengthen this Warriors dynasty. And so I think there's a lot of conversations, of course, in my world, but I also thought in locker rooms, we would have these conversations. And I'm curious for your generation, the younger players in the league, do you think there's a majority of them that feel that way, that feel that LeBron is the best ever?
As LeBron is what he's doing right now, at age 38, everybody's talking about it and everybody's like, oh, he's actually, they're going back to his years in Miami and Cleveland, what he's done. And everybody's actually talking about it right now, and I mean, the same thing with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan people who have seen him play, and that's the majority of what people is saying. I feel like the generation today are basically saying LeBron is better than Michael Jordan. because of what they've seen, So I feel like it really goes both ways.
Yeah, there's an element of living it out. You're so influenced by what you see. There's probably recency bias to everything in life, and then there's like the nostalgia factor. And I think for older basketball fans, for fans that really enjoyed the '90s, and that became like a nostalgic period of time. The theme song on NBC, the Bulls in the finals, whatever it may be, there's not even like a conversation to be had with them. They're just like, no, Jordan's the best. Jordan is the best. And there's no wiggle room. There's no nuance to the conversation. I always say, like, fine, if you want to say Jordan's the best, that's fine. But LeBron is 1A to me. LeBron is 1A. If Jordan's 1, LeBron's 1A. Caitlin Cooper, who Tyrese has actually shouted out on the podcast before, had a great article about your jab step. I don't know if you saw it. And sort of playing out of triple threat and why your jab step sort of sets the table. And I want to bring this back actually to the hockey conversation, because when I see the jab step, when I see you driving closeouts, your explosiveness, when you do decide to elevate and finish at the rim, like, I think there's an element of that sort of skating, mechanical biomechanism, whatever you want to call it. And I'm curious for that move in particular, has that always been the strength? Because, in reading about you, there was, I think, some rawness to your game when you first got to Mexico, some rawness to your game when you first got to Arizona. It seems to me like, at least offensively, you're a pretty polished player right now.
I mean, I remember the summer between my freshman year and my sophomore year. I remember when I decided I want to go back to college for another year. I've always been, jab set has always been one of my strengths, but I really work on my craft that summer. I remember I was 2 times a day in the gym, and I was like working on my jab step, and I was like, yo, I'm not trying to do this. But they really like informed me that was one of my strengths, and I have the ability to now being able to play off the dribble. It's like I'm a threat, just with the ball in my hands. So if I'm jab stepping, he's off, I got the shot. If I'm jab, he's still here, and then I got my dribble. So I really learned the way of like using my jab step without even taking any dribbles, and just being able to take my defender out.
I would always, as a player, about this time of year, I would always get a sense of how teams were defending me, what coverages, body positioning, what way they were trying to send me off screens, all the things they were trying to do to stop me from getting to my strengths. I would always get a sense of that by this time of year. And I would start thinking, not like I'm looking forward to the offseason, but I would start thinking, all right, put it in the memory bank, write it down. Like, I know this offseason I got to be in the lab and I got to get better at this or that or whatever it is. Are there areas already for you to get to where you want to go in the NBA where you're like, this is where I need to improve?
I mean, there's a lot of stuff, if I could go to, one thing I really want to improve myself, just to become a really a threat on the offensive end, is just pretty much, I'm backing down. I feel like sometimes I have a lot of, small players on me, and I have the ability to really like just back them down. Even though I don't have the shot or a layup, I can make plays and just, trying to find my open teammates. So backing down is one thing, but also, the mid-range pull-up, I feel like is one thing. Sometimes when the big is dropping a little bit too much, I got the shot a little bit. And, I'm not really taking a lot of middies, because it's not a big part of my game right now. But I feel like improving that for sure going to be a great thing, and just help me offensively as well.
Are there guys you've played against so far this year? We talked to a lot of the young guys about this who, everyone in the NBA is great, but they've done something, whether it was, you were defending them or you just were on the court when it happened, where you were, blown away or surprised at all, just like the level of skill?
I would say 2 players I was really like, whoa, it's different. Like Donovan Mitchell. I remember I was guarding him a couple of times, and I think one time we were playing at home, and I was on him, like I was not moving, locked down. I'm like, let's go. And then he just pump fake, I bit a little bit. Then he threw off the backboard, came right to his hands. I was like, yo, his name really Spider. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, he threw the ball really hard and then came back in his hands. I was like, yo, that's crazy. But Jason Tatum as well, footwork is incredible, man. I know he's a Duke guy. I ain't trying to gas him up. But footwork was crazy. I remember just like, and his jab step as well is, incredible. His pump fake, he's gonna make you bite you all the time. And when he's in the paint too, his fadeaway and stuff is great stuff.
Yeah, the Tatum ISO on the wing where he uses that jab step to create space and a lot of times shoot over his defenders. And a lot of times it is a midi. Sometimes it's from three. But then once he does that, the counter to that, it's like opening up Pandora's box. And all of a sudden he's got counters to everything. Like, honestly, I don't think this is hyperbole. And I know he worked out with him. I know the guy had a huge influence on him. But there are shades of Kobe right now with Tatum's game. Like, that's how he's playing right now. It's a lot of fun to watch. Ben, we have really enjoyed having you on the show, pulling for you. Good luck the rest of the way, man.
I appreciate you guys for having me.
All right, let's have our check-in with Tyrese Halliburton. All right, let's welcome in Tyrese. Tyrese, can you provide us with an injury update? What is going on with you right now?
Like they said, I hurt my elbow, hurt my knee. Was probably doing too much. That's why that happened. Usually happens that way. Reevaluate at the end of the month. Starting to get stronger every day, feeling better every day. Got my second opinion, so things are going well. Hopefully at the end of the month, things are, hopefully in the next, 11, 12 days, I feel better and I can get back to start February. That's the goal.
Where are you with conditioning? This was a thought I had in watching you guys on Monday against Milwaukee, because it is both an upper body extremity and a lower body extremity. Have you been able to do bike work, treadmill, run, anything?
Yeah, so I left the Knicks game in crutches. I was in crutches for like 2 days. After we found out through the MRI that structurally nothing was wrong with my knee, I was encouraged to try to not use the crutches as fast as possible. So I did that. I haven't used crutches since then. I'm starting to walk with full comfort in my legs. So running starting now. It started today, but we're gonna rev up moving forward. So legs feel fine. It's just more about getting my elbow right.
That's great. On that Bucks game, I wanted to get your perspective. We did not ask Ben about this, but I did want to get your perspective on TJ McConnell's first half, because I actually have a video of Knox and I sent it to TJ and he's like, put TJ back in. He's going to get his career high in the first half. Put him back in. And then there's a clip of you guys on the bench when he got 25. And like, I can't remember who it was, but one of y'all turned to the other one. He was like, yo, he's got 25, man.
Yeah.
And like, TJ's not really a scorer. So what was going through your mind when he's busting Milwaukee's ass?
Oh man, I was excited on the bench. I was just enjoying the show. Everybody goes under him. They're going to really heavily short close. I think he's being challenged this year probably more than any time in the past to catch and shoot threes, to shoot a little bit more. He's been trying. I feel like he's been making a conscious effort to get him up more. Probably shooting one every couple games, maybe one a game. And he made his first one. So after he made his first one, made his second one, and he hit two more in the first half. I was like, oh, he's feeling good. He's feeling good right now. Just excited to see him play well. He's been playing really well through these last 5-6 games. He had 25 in the first half. I think he finished with 29. Wanted a little bit more from the second half, but that's when TJ's doing that. Obviously, you know what he brings to the table, what he does defensively, getting guys involved, all those things. But he's scoring as well. It's a treat to watch.
JJ, who was talking more shit at MSG, TJ or Joe Ingles?
Ooh, that's a good question. Because we
were discussing this. Yeah,
Tyrese gets hurt early in the second half and goes out. And TJ had actually played good in the first half and had started his shit talking very early. I think he made a baseline jumper from like 7 feet, because that's usually his range on his jumper. And he turned to the crowd and was talking shit. But that was like my favorite subplot of going to back-to-back MSG games. Obviously, I got to see Giannis play. I got to see you play. Jalen played unbelievable both games. But watching TJ and Joe talk shit, I'll say Joe Ingles. Joe takes the cake. Joe
He's high
talks
level.
so much shit. He talks shit when he's playing bad too, but the fact that he hit 5 threes that game, he was really on one. Tyrese, you guys are 1-5 in games you missed, including the Knicks game that you lost. You're 1-6. I'm not going to ask you to make your all-star case. I'm going to make it for you. I've been waiting to reveal some of this data, including some stats from Tommy's favorite website, 538. The old Raptor stat.
We go to it every day now.
Yes.
Every single day.
I'll start with Basketball Reference. I don't love the stat, but 16th overall in player efficiency rating, 11th in win shares, 8th in offensive win shares, 5th in offensive box plus minus, 5th in value over replacement player. Raptor 538, 7th in wins above replacement player, 10th in total Raptor, 5th in offensive Raptor. Do you feel like you're an all-star?
I do feel like that. I feel like I've had a successful season. I feel like even us as a team, we are somewhere where we are much so not expected to be. I think right now we're at 23 wins, and Vegas picked the line at 23.5 to start the year. So we're over, we're exceeding our expectations, from the general public through the year so far. And I feel like I've had an impact, through that. So I do, but, we'll see what happens.
Tommy knows this. Jason knows this. The listeners on the show that watched our Sacramento Kings video from earlier this week, and all our listeners of the Old Men and the Three Things, I mentioned this. I have an official media vote this year. What would your response be if I told you at the guard position in the Eastern Conference, I was leaning heavily towards Jaylen Brown and Donovan Mitchell?
To start?
Yeah. What would your response be?
That's okay. They've had great years. That wouldn't bother me at all. Why would that bother me?
All right. Just making sure we were going to still be. I haven't made any vote yet. I just want to make sure we were still.
That is okay.
Friends.
That is okay.
I want to talk about 2 games before you got hurt and before we draft. I want to talk about the Boston game, the 33-6-8, and then the Miami game with the game winner. The Miami one in particular, you were on one the whole night. What do you think? Like, what was going on? What happened?
I mean, the last time I had 0 field goals, we played Miami at home. I did not have a good game at all. Couldn't get any rhythm. Wasn't doing anything smart. Like, I was calling Bam into the action unnecessarily. Just stepping back after the game, watch the game. I'm reflecting. I'm like, I was awful. I was really bad. And we were still in a position to win that game, even though I had 1 point. We were in a position to win that game. So I took that personally, for myself. And just after watching it, trying to figure out what did they do that was so different than everybody else. I mean, they guarded me well, but the thing they did really well is we're one of the best, if not the best transition team in basketball right now. And it felt like they were sending 4 back. Like, Bam was the only one that was allowed to crash, really. Or if you were under the free throw line, but everybody else was getting back. So that kept us out of playing transition. We didn't create a lot of turnovers, so that didn't help. So coming into the game, I was like, I know they switch everything with their guards, I'm trying to keep Bam out of the action. But for me, it was just like, yeah, there was extra juice for that for me. I just felt like I had to respond. I feel like all great players do that. So just had to be ready to step up to the table, and have a good game. So I was able to do that.
Just you stay out of the Miami nightlife. That's all. That's also a key to having a good game.
Go to sleep.
I always felt
go to
like
sleep
that
at 10
was,
o'clock the night before.
That was a big thing. Like dinner and a glass of wine. Stay out of South Beach.
Yeah, that helped. That helped for sure. I did also, not proud to admit this, both those games, Boston and Miami, I was like feeling a little tired before the game, and I always drink like a little like fast twitch, it's called. I drink a little bit before the game to get me going. I am not proud to admit that I drank a half a Red Bull before both those games. I could not stop moving. I felt like I was going crazy. It was both those games, and I thought that was the recipe for success. And then we played New Orleans the next game. I did it again. I had like 12 points. I was like, thank God I had a bad game finally, so I have to drink Red Bull before the game. But I think that helped too.
Wait, the other one I think that has happened since the last time you came on was the Laker game winner. with your pass. Do you like? Could you walk us through that play? Just because it was it was a great shot, obviously, but the pass was perfect. Just what happened there?
Yeah, I mean, we ran an out of bounds play for Miles to get, and I knew that we were going to get a wide open three because AD kept backing up, or whoever was guarding Miles was backing up. I think it was AD. So I threw it into Miles. He missed the three. I grabbed the rebound. In my head, I was like, oh, I'm shooting it. No matter what, I'm shooting the ball. And then I looked up at the clock and I had time. I had like 3-4 seconds. I'm like, nah, I can probably get to the cup. So when I drove, I seen LeBron sneaking in, and I was like, somebody's got to be open on the opposite side. So I threw a skip to Andrew, hit the game winner. And I think that was a great moment for us early in the year as a young team to go on and get that win. And you beat the Lakers. Anytime you beat the Lakers, I mean, how can you not enjoy it? And it was just a great time for our team.
I've had coaches, by the way, who have coached passing in a way that is very limiting. At a pick and roll, let's say, bigs in a drop coverage, a lot of guys do it. They sort of pick the ball up with one hand, make the skip pass, especially with the left. It was discouraged. Even going right, that one hand pass where you don't gather and make the pass, it's discouraged. And I think because you naturally do that with your left, you didn't do it on this particular play. You made the pass with your left. But I think because you naturally do that and you're comfortable doing that and you've been coached in a way that allows you the freedom to do that, it's the reason you can make a reverse pivot and throw an on-time target pass with your offhand. Whereas
For sure.
if that's like limiting in the moment, I think there's maybe a different pass that happens, and I'm not sure he has time to get it off.
Yeah, I think freedom is the best thing that we can give young athletes, and letting them use their imagination. That was something that my coaches in my life have always preached to me. It's like, where's your imagination at? Like when it comes to making moves, or, you're in a workout and you're making a certain amount of jumpers. I'm working on my pick and roll pull up. Well, I can't just come off and the pick and roll and just shoot a pull up every time. That's not realistic. Like I wish that I could come off every pick and roll and everybody be in a deep drop and I could just tee up threes, but it's not real. Like there's going to be a stunt. There's going to be a hedge. Something's going to happen. I'm going to have to make a move on the big with the switch. I think that's something that our youth and something that's missing sometimes is like, we're just doing the drill to do the drill sometimes. I saw an awesome video of John Lucas training some kids in LA where he was talking about that. Like, why are we just doing the drill to do the drill? We need to do it with a purpose. And, I always imagine like there's people on the floor, there's a guy in this corner, single side tag, whatever the case may be, just figuring it out that way. So I think using your imagination is a big thing for athletes.
Speaking of imagination and plays you've made, the clip of you going against the big and drop coverage and using the gather step into what essentially is a fake lob, fake underhand shot, and then taking that extra step, just juking the defender. Each Moore used to do that all the time for the Pelicans. And then like all of a sudden we all started doing it. But like everybody on Twitter, Instagram, that's a travel. And it's not, but that's another example, I think, of like using your imagination. Is that something that move in particular, where did you put that in your bag?
Zach LaVine, he does it all the time. He doesn't even do it for lobs. He does it to throw off your timing so he get fouled at the free throw line.
Yeah, he does. He does.
Ron Norad, our assistant, he's always on my head about it. Always on my head. Throw the fake, just throw off the timing. Fake the ball up. So I don't know. In that moment, it just felt right because when teams are in a drop, and if they're used to, it usually works when you have a setup, right? So you throw the lob first, and then you don't, or whatever. So that's what I used there. But I did see you and Etuan Moore talking about it on social media. I was laughing at that.
Dude, real quick before we get to the draft, I did want to ask you about the Miles Turner partnership in the pick and roll, because I think he has such a great sense of when to pop, when to roll. And I'm wondering about the communication between you, because he mixes up popping versus a drop versus rolling into that pocket. The Hornets game was a great example of that. There's twice where he rolled into that pocket and you hit him for dunks. Is that a natural thing? Or do you guys communicate before play, roll, pop, whatever it may be?
I don't think it's a before a play thing. I do think that it's trial and error. When I first got here, there was a lot of concern, not from me necessarily, but from other people people who watch basketball, Miles had a very low roll rate in the last few years, one of the lowest for starting bigs in the NBA. I don't know exactly, but in part reason because Sabonis was on the team. You had two bigs down there. If he rolls, he's rolling into another big. So he kind of was moved to the four, forced to pop and things like that. And early in the year, there was some times I was like, roll, you know what I mean? Because I played with Rashawn Holmes. I played with guys who, aren't as much of a perimeter threat as Miles is to shoot the three. So they're just used to rolling. So with me and Miles, it's just been constant communication and figuring it out against certain coverages. When we play drop, you can mix that up so many different times. And it's also dependent on the tag on the backside. If we cut out, he can pop and get a wide open three with no stunt. But sometimes him rolling, if I get deep enough and I hit him for dunks, or even sometimes his roll presence, you know how it is in the NBA. If you're a big, they hate being scored on. Bigs hate that. So the minute that I throw a lob or give Miles two dunks, they're just going to keep backing up and they're not even going to stop me. And then I'm going to get layups because that's every big's like, they think that way. They're like, all right, well, at the end of the game, Miles had 10, Tyrese had 30. Right. I did my job.
How many did my matchup have?
Exactly. So it's just figuring out. And Lloyd Pierce has been awesome. They watch a lot of film together, Lloyd and Miles. And it's just constant communication, but it's never like on the play exactly. Sometimes it might be after the play, getting back on defense, like, yo, I need you to roll, need you to pop this time. But just we have a great relationship, so that helps.
Just want to clarify. So on when you said cut out, because just for listener, and maybe Jason can pull up a clip of this, but if you're in a 5-out high pick and roll, spread pick and roll, and Miles pops, if you leave the two guys on the weak side in place, then that guard or that wing that's guarding the guy in the slot can get a stunt on Miles and it sort of disrupts the play. But if he cuts to the basket, makes that slot cut, all of a sudden it vacates that area. Miles then has more space to shoot, as well as a single side dribble handoff going back to the right side, or getting the guy getting the dribble handoff going back to his right side. So a lot of optionality out of that when you do make that slot cut. All right, guys, I've been looking forward to this fucking thing all day. We are going to draft. Big draft. We are going to draft mall stores. Interpret that however you want to interpret that.
Tyrese, JJ needs a win badly. I don't think he's won in about 10 drafts. So we'll just keep that in mind with some of these picks.
I made my big board today with Jade, and I'm confident in my big board. So I'm really excited about this. I have the number one pick, correct?
Yes, I also used some female help as well. Kylie helped me out with the
very necessary, very necessary. Number one pick, still the number one pick for me to this day. If I ever go to the mall, I have to go there. Auntie Anne's has to be the number one pick. Cinnamon sugar pretzel dog, slushies, easy. Everything. And it is important that we recognize they refuse to go out of the mall. They refuse. Yep. The malls die, they are not leaving. They're going to die with them. They refuse to, go into Walmart or something. So Auntie Anne's, true OG.
Yeah, I like the pick. I don't.
That's the Wembyana. That's the Wembyana of the draft. That's a no-brainer.
You guys are crazy.
Yeah,
no, that's a fact.
I'm really upset right now.
Okay.
I'm really upset. That just threw my whole board off. Wait, I want to hear JJ's reasoning for why Auntie Anne's is not elite.
Yeah, that's disrespectful, bro.
I personally would pick two other food choices over Auntie Anne's. That's why. Okay.
Two.
Okay.
We'll find out. Maybe we'll find out.
I guess we'll see. All right. I'm picking another food choice as my first one. Obviously, this place is not only in malls. It's very popular, but it is in a lot of malls, and I will frequently eat there when I go to a mall, no matter where I am, and that's Chick-fil-A is my first one.
Okay.
Is that one of yours, JJ?
No, I thought about writing it down, but it's when I think of malls, I don't think of Chick-fil-A. That's
okay. I agree.
On a technicality, yes, Chick-fil-A they're in malls.
They are found in a lot of malls.
I've seen them in malls before.
I agree with that, JJ. I agree.
All right, guys. I'm going to go with an actual store, and I feel like because you guys both went with restaurants, I actually am having trouble picking a store because I have like 4 that I really like. So because I have 2, I'm going to go with GameStop.
Oh,
GameStop with my number one pick. And I think number 2, because I never was a sneakerhead, I think I'm going to go with Lids for my number 2 pick. Yep.
Lids is a good pick. GameStop doesn't
Love
make any
Lids.
sense.
GameStop
doesn't make
sense.
GameStop as the first pick doesn't make any sense. GameStop, we don't need to relitigate the GameStop drama from the last 2 years. GameStop is not a functional store anymore. What's the point?
Stop talking about anymore. This is about nostalgia.
Tommy, malls are not functional. Malls are not functional. 5 of my picks on my big board have gone bankrupt. 2 of them don't exist anymore. I realize these stores suck.
I just
because
think
they're in malls.
I love the Lids pick. I've spent a lot of time in mall Lids. GameStop would not have been my first choice, but okay.
You weren't a gamer. That's fine.
That's fine.
That's rough, Tommy.
That's fine. My second pick, Jason. Shout out to Jason. We were talking about this earlier. Spencer's Gifts. A lot of variety in the shop. And then the other thing is it's now also doubles as the Halloween store because they bought the big Halloween store. So you get more bang for your buck. It's great for any kind of trinket or gift or anything like that during the year. And then September, October, it's all Halloween.
Spencer's like the spot they sell like vans and skateboards and stuff, correct?
They sell that, and then they sell like the weird toys. We don't need to get into the details of some of the toys because they're not safe for work.
The second pick is pretty crazy.
They sell a lot of shit there. It's you sort of get whatever you need, you can get. Like whatever you need. All right, Terry's, you got 2.
Second pick for me, can't believe it slid this low. Foot Locker. I don't know how Foot Locker has not got picked yet.
Yeah.
It's where everybody went to get shoes. And we also still to this day as basketball players still mess with refs about, they must have got their shirt from Foot Locker because, they might not be that good. So Foot Locker, number 2 pick.
I like that pick. I just want to interject. I like that pick. That was my debate for my number 2 pick.
Foot Locker or Lids?
Foot Locker or Lids. That was my debate.
Okay.
I like the pick.
Okay. I'm going Foot Locker number 2. And then number 3, because I don't know if you guys even have this on your big board, but I do feel like all the lady listeners would be like, yes. And when I was a kid and I'd walk by, I had to like take a long stare into the store. Victoria's Secret, 3rd pick. It has to be Victoria's Secret. How can
that's a good pick. That's a value. I mean, it's undeniable.
It's undeniable.
Yeah, I think that's
undeniable.
That's a legit pick.
I have no comment on that. I'm not saying it's a bad pick. I'm in a state of trouble.
Yeah. My 3rd pick, you guys are probably not going to like this one, but I feel like it's very functional, and they have them in a lot of malls. Is the Apple Store, and I feel like the Apple Store is both convenient. If you need anything, it's also good if you don't have a computer at home or something like that. You can just go there and like scroll for an hour or 2. And everyone leaves you alone. It's clean. You can always use the bathroom. There's a lot of functionality at the Apple Store.
I have no problem with the pick. It's a great pick. You could make an argument it's a number 1 type pick. I just want to be clear that you must shop at high-end malls because I thought about this. I was like, like the mall at Millennia in Orlando. Like they had a Cartier. They had a Tiffany's, like they had a Hermes. That's not the way I thought this draft was going, but I have no problem with the Apple Store pick.
Here we go.
Bougie.
Okay.
You like to shop for lava lamps and iPhones. All right.
You got 2.
All right. So I'm going to go with a little throwback here for me personally. I'm going to go with KB Toys, iconic mall game store or toy store. It's where I got all my G.I. Joes and Playmobiles and Legos growing up. And then I'm going to go with another one that was big in my teenage years, and that's FYE, which was For Your Entertainment, and that's CDs, DVDs.
Terry, have you heard of either of those places?
I cannot say I have.
You've never heard of KB Toys?
But what I do respect out of JJ, and I think that me and JJ both with this approach versus you, Tommy, you must go to the mall a lot. You're drafting things that are in the mall today. I'm drafting things that were in the mall at Fox River Mall in Appleton that I went to.
Exactly.
Current things.
Tommy only shops at the Oculus in New York City. That's the last mall he's been to and the first mall he's been to.
The Grove, the Oculus and the Grove. Tyrese, have you ever heard of Sam Goody? Have you ever bought a CD in a store?
Me in my life, can't say I have.
So Sam
You ever
Goody and
bought a
FYE are
DVD?
the same. They're the same thing. They're the same. It's the same company, Tommy. FYE.
Oh,
I
I
think
didn't realize that. I thought
Sam
they were
Goody
different companies.
became FYE. I want to say, yeah, same
You
thing.
used to have to go buy CDs. It's pretty crazy. It was a whole different world.
Well, I do know that, Tommy. You're not telling me anything I didn't know. But no, I
Tyrese,
never bought CDs.
you're a 2000.
Born 2000. Yep.
Yeah, so you were like 3 when the iPod came out. You only know digital music.
That's for sure. Crazy. LimeWire. I know LimeWire. For sure.
Kazam. All right. Tommy.
Fourth pick. I'm going to another food spot. This is more old school. I don't think they have very many of these anymore, but it was my favorite. This could have been my first pick, honestly. TCBY. Incredible. Tyrese, have you been?
AJ, you know what that is?
I do know what it is. And I
wouldn't
yogurt. Describe it as
frozen
incredible.
Yogurt. Incredible.
Tommy, you're struggling this draft. You are
smoothies,
struggling.
Chillers. I think our listeners are going to like the TCBY pick. TCBY is a definition of a cult classic food spot.
All right.
Okay. I'm happy with it. I'm happy with my board.
Wow. I'm running away with this draft. Because I got all my top 5 picks.
Your anti-hands threw me off a little bit, I'm not gonna lie.
My 4th pick, I'm gonna take Abercrombie. Because how can you not take Abercrombie? JJ, I know you have plenty of picks while you were at Duke in Abercrombie clothing. You have to.
Yeah.
Well, are you sure you want to take Abercrombie?
Why don't I want to take Abercrombie?
Do you want backlash from the woke crowd?
What backlash? There's backlash from
Abercrombie. There was a documentary on Netflix. They had
the rise and the fall.
The racist, discriminatory hiring and firing practices.
Wow, Tyrese.
They had racist T-shirts.
Tyrese just tanked his whole draft.
Stop. I can't agree with anything being said right now. It's not about that.
Okay.
The historical significance of Abercrombie
has
to be there.
Okay.
And if it's not Abercrombie, then throw it in the bunch it up with American Eagle.
Bro, I just want to say one thing real quick.
Yeah, you already picked it.
No, you picked
I'm not going back.
Okay,
I'm not going back.
I'm just saying there was literally a book for store managers of who they were supposed to hire, and they were like looking for white dudes with comb overs, and they said no dreadlocks. No
JJ, did they ever ask you? Did they ever ask you to be a model?
No, what? No.
Yeah, JJ could have been. Yeah.
No.
But I'm just again, this is on nostalgia, and where I'm from, everybody went to Abercrombie. So I
didn't know about these practices when I was 18, 19 years old, but I wore Abercrombie. I'll admit it. Yeah, I wore Abercrombie.
So
it's all right, Terry. It's fine. You made the pick.
Crowd don't come for me.
You got to stand by it.
All right.
Okay. And my fifth pick could go many different ways, but I'm gonna go again for me. My personal nostalgia. I'm going Build-A-Bear.
Oh my God!
Has to be
so mad. That was gonna be my 5th pick.
Build-A-Bear is a good one. I don't know that you won because I think you're going to get canceled, but in theory, these were 4 really solid picks. I have a couple clothing ones I'm deciding between. I think I'm going to pick Urban Outfitters as my 5th because I think Urban Outfitters, I love the t-shirts. You get a lot of flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
You can do winter, you can do summer. It's for every, age group basically. It's a pretty well-run operation, I think, overall. And I think it's pretty solid 5th round value.
Yeah, I think it's a great value in the 5th round. And I also think, based on your picks, you like shopping at places that have knickknacks. Because that's the other thing with Urban Outfitters that I actually like. They have a lot of knicknacks in the store besides the clothing. But
I actually think, to your point about me going to the malls now, Urban Outfitters is still good today. So I have picked some places that are with the exception of TCBY, that are still functional.
All right. I'm leaning heavily towards picking a food place. I really am. But I feel like this 5th pick could potentially win me this draft. And I'm going to go with Finish Line. Over.
That's interesting confidence.
Yeah. I'm going to
go
with
was the
Finish
pick
Line.
that you went with. Explain why Finish Line.
Well, we all know Foot Action sucked. Action sucked. Foot Locker, those stores were generally a smaller footprint within the mall. And in terms of inventory, you had to be there the day the shit got there or you weren't getting them. Finish line, bigger footprint, bigger selection, more inventory. That is a fact. That is a fact.
But not as not as high end inventory, right?
No, it's the same. Like, Nike, Adidas, Puma, Converse.
Did they
whatever
have
you're
everything?
into? Yeah, whatever you're into. Whatever you're into.
Tyrese, thoughts?
Interesting confidence in the pick. Very interesting confidence. I'm very curious to hear the other food spots that you would have picked over Auntie Anne's.
Sbarro and Cinnabon.
No,
obviously.
No.
Sbarro and Cinnabon.
Sbarro would have lost you. Sbarro would have lost you. Cinnabon, fine. Sbarro would have lost you the draft.
Sbarro
What's wrong with Sbarro?
You would have got canceled for Sbarro.
You're in Roanoke, Virginia, at Tanglewood Mall, which is now
I've had
defunct.
Sbarro so many.
And you need a New York style slice of cheese pizza. Like, Sbarro's a great option, bro. When you're 15 years old and you've got $9 in your pocket.
Would you have counted Applebee's? Yeah, $9 to spend on one horrible slice.
I had Applebee's and Chili's. There were Applebee's and Chili's at malls I've been to.
I was thinking about Applebee's. Applebee's was a good hang spot.
Yeah.
The best spot though in food courts. Tell me if I'm lying. Every mall has a teriyaki chicken food spot that is fire, and they always giving out samples. And you walk by the samples 3-4 times.
It's a fact.
That's over. Yeah.
Subway's a better pick than Sbarro. Sbarro is just awful. Like, Sbarro is the worst pizza on planet Earth.
I've definitely had worse.
Wow. And you're saying that now as a grown adult, but when I was 14, Sbarro I had to go to Sbarro and Auntie Anne's.
Can I tell you, maybe this is New York bias, why Sbarro offends me, is every 99-cent slice in New York City, your $1 and you get your pizza is better than a Sbarro slice that costs $7. I
think it's clear here, Tyrese. Tommy has lived in an elitist coastal bubble.
It offends my senses.
Coastal bubble.
Maybe, but what I'm saying is Sbarro is more expensive. Sbarro is cheap. I would get it. Sbarro isn't even cheap. It's just bad. You're paying way more for a bad slice, and they're just making it super thick and greasy. And
yeah, I wouldn't have. I don't know, JJ.
I didn't go with it. I didn't go with it. I went with Finish Line.
I respect those picks.
I'm glad.
I went with Finish Line.
Would a movie theater have counted? I don't know what brand of movie theater would. I feel like it's too generic.
That's too generic. I think Claire's is a underrated pick that did not get picked. I'll tell you the
one that we missed out on. Hot Topic. Hot Topic was great.
To me, Hot Topic over Spencer's. To me.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I didn't want to throw out ideas for people. Yes.
Spencer's was better because of the Halloween. The Halloween thing threw it over the top. But Hot Topic was great too.
Tommy, don't worry about Halloween stuff on Amazon, bro. Come on. We're not going.
Amazon didn't exist. You know what's another good thing is H&M.
H&M.
H&M, you can T-shirt for $4.
Yeah, Urban Outfitters over H&M and Forever 21 is definitely a choice.
Yes.
But better graphic tees, though. Graphic tees.
All right. Tyrese, always appreciate the time. Get healthy, brother.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.